Today I'm going to be showing you a mobbing build for Freyna that isn't going to conflict with any other build you have. The Colossus video I did before is going to be just fine. You won't have any red sockets, I promise you. Check this out. Look at this, man. Shoot it right in the center. Look how much range that has. That's absolutely beautiful. And the numbers aren't too bad either. Even like for her first ability. Like it covers a nice decent area, and they buff the range to from 4 meters to 7 meters, which isn't crazy. The way they were talking about Freyna's buff was like they were really gonna make her something special with her AoE, but no. An increase of 3 meters is not really that crazy. I kind of wish they would have done something a little bit better than that for our girl Freyna here. Since today is pretty much the last day to farm these reactors, and then the whole thing kind of resets, and for the next 7 days, you won't be able to get a good toxic tech reactor at all. I definitely recommend you try and get a different couple of variations of the reactor for her for the enemies and mobbing in general. So the main reactor I use has a toxic skill boost power ratio and additional skill attack when attacking Colossus, and it just happened to fall on the Fallen Hope mounting, which is completely fine. I like the Fallen Hope gun. It's a really good gun, but you definitely want to keep that toxic skill power boost ratio increase on there. If you can get it gold, even better. And I would definitely say get a couple variations of the skill duration up, the increase in range, and then the additional skill attack when attacking the Order of Truth, the Legion of Immortality, and the Legion of Darkness, just so whenever you're playing specific areas of the game, you have that increase in damage for just mowing down those mobs, whether you're playing just regular missions or you're farming for some kind of amorphous material. You just have the extra ones that you just quickly switch to. And then of course having one with an additional skill attack when attacking the Colossus fights is definitely a bonus. And just in case you're unaware of how to get yourself a toxic tech reactor, you just come to the world map here, you go to the difficulty level rewards, and then you can see everything here. You can choose, you want the reactor, you want it on tech, and then of course you want toxic, and then it's completely up to you whether you want to go for general rounds, so you can use Python or Fallen Hope or a different type, and then special rounds, the Secret Garden, for its unique ability. It does increase the firearm attack and skill power attack bonuses on the weapon itself, but it's completely up to you which one you want to farm. But I definitely recommend you go ahead and farm these today, because if we view all the rewards we can see in the B rotation, the closest one we could get is a toxic tech, but this is going to be for impact rounds, so this is going to be for the secondary ammo. So if we can look here, it's going to be stuff for like the Blue Beetle, Nazistra's Devotion, the Perforator, and then the new weapon that just came out, the Peacemaker. If you'd like to fart one of those up, I mean, go for it, but none of these weapons seem to have anything that helps with toxic or tech, like at all. Like this one does fusion and singular. This one is hitting a weak point in proportion to their max shield. Devotion is the devotion mark on a weak point, inflicts a unique ability. On hitting an ally, that ally's shield is restored. We can look here, Wave of Light does solar, so that's fire damage. Peacemaker does dimensions. So like I mentioned, if you want to farm for the special rounds, the tech skill grants the unique ability pest control and increases your overall damage too at about a 30% set chance. So definitely something you should be looking into if you're interested, as this is the last day and then you'll have to wait an entire week before we get a toxic tech reactor again for general rounds. For the external components, we just have the Slayer auxiliary set for the increase in plus 26.1% to our skill power. The rolled stats I have here are max HP and MP out of combat, max MP. This one does extra defense, and then this one is just max shield, and then item acquisition distance increase modifier by 0.2. Nothing major, but having that extra MP is pretty nice. For the actual build, we're going to use Contagion, because this completely changes her first ability, so that we do more damage, it spreads it better, and it just pops enemies with some decent numbers here. Skill expansions for skill effect range increase of 92%, skill insight for the increase in critical hit rate, Venom Sanctium for just that extra toxic skill power, increased HP for survivability, skill simplification for skill power modifier plus 84.5%, but you do lose your max MP, about 25% of it. If you really wanted to, you could change this out with something like maximize power, but the only thing is you'll get that cooldown increase of plus 50%. So if we look at her third ability, for just an example, the cooldown is about 25 seconds. Then if we change in maximum power for skill simplification and go ahead and save that, it is going to change this ability to the cooldown is 37.5 seconds. That's an increase of 12.5 seconds just to use her third, and it's also going to affect her other abilities as well of when you can exactly use them. 165 seconds, that's absolutely insane. So definitely do with something like this just so you can get that increase in power modifier while not affecting the cooldown. It's just my personal opinion of what exactly you should do. Shock Punch with a catalyst on it so we can increase our capacity to 15. That helps us out a ton. Dangerous Ambush just for those mobs that are not paying attention to us. Get an increase in damage numbers. This is great for just dealing with the enemies in the matchmaking. You know, most of them are just targeted towards other players and stuff like that. You can just pop this and do the extra damage there. But if you feel like changing this, that's completely fine. I was looking through the Xantic mods and I really didn't see anything worth using. If you wanted to change this out for like something like a resistance, the only one I see available is the electric antibody, or since this is also an arcade tech, you can change this out for any one that you have. If you feel like, you know, defeating an enemy instantly recovers 12.2% of your max MP at a set chance, completely go for it without messing with our build too much, so we don't have any of those reds, so we can keep our module capacity pretty high and keep our Colossus build. Skill concentration for an increase in critical hit damage, front lines for crit damage and crit rate, toxic specialist of course for an increase in our toxic skill power by 81%, and emergency measures for critical hit rate and critical hit damage. I believe this is the best build you can do for her range and just overall killing a lot of mobs. We have our contagion for dealing damage out with her first. We have increased range in multiple places. We have skill power modifier just to increase more damage. We have increased HP for survivability, and then we're doing our best to hit those crit numbers for more damage. As we can see here, her skill critical hit rate is about 15% and critical damage is 4 times. Skill cost is 0.15 and our effective range is about 0.923, which, I mean, if you look at it, is more than enough. This carries a nice area, be able to damage a lot of enemies, especially when they're just running and just straight up bum rushing you. I mean, this is going to spread nice with her first ability too. Look at all these ticks, bro. This is absolutely beautiful. You're just mowing these down. Let me make them not immune so that you can see the differences here of just how much we can melt these guys. They are level 100, so we'll just pop her first one. See how it spreads the damage. That's not bad. That's not bad. They're just all getting melted. Goodbye. Rest in peace. Of course, as you change areas, your damage will change as well. So the order of truth, the damage numbers are going to be completely different. See, before we were hitting well over 200,000 and now we're hitting about 100,000, 160,000 on decent crits, but it easily just melts them a little bit. Different enemies have different defense types and resistances to them, so it's going to make a big difference in your overall output. These guys though, man, these guys get melted though. Like, look at these, barely even hitting any crits and they're just going to sleep. Night night. How are you not affected? I mean, you're literally standing in my pool, buddy. There you go. Hold that for me. Appreciate you. If you could just crit numbers, please. Oh, okay, you just live. All right. Especially with her fourth ability, man, as it spreads that room 0 trauma. We're just hitting nice numbers, about 800k on the surrounding enemies, and this guy's hitting crits for about 537,000. Great overall damage. Boom, already slept him, and then it just spreads. Look at that. Slept him. That whole area done in a couple of shots. Not even anything. That was beautiful. I love that. That was most likely thanks to dangerous ambush, just because they weren't targeting me, because they were standstill little guys, not even paying attention, looking into the dark void. Into the dark void. I do have a little showcase to show you guys after this, but I appreciate you guys watching the video, man. If there's anything you'd change, definitely let me know. I'll show you guys the assigned module sockets here now. This definitely works well, especially with your Colossus builds. If you watched my previous video about Freyna, if you haven't watched the previous video and you're interested in seeing the Colossus build, I'll leave a link in the description, so go watch that and get you some good damage numbers. The only thing that's going to be really different with the Colossus build and doing overall damage is just your luck on reactors. If you can get something like in gold, like the toxic skill power boost ratio and the additional skill attack when attacking Colossus, both in gold, then of course you're going to do better numbers than me. That's just kind of how it works. It's just a RNG luck game with the reactor here. Otherwise, we're pretty much doing the same. I just absolutely love that this open world build does not conflict with my Colossus or my teaming build. So if you're wondering what's the difference between open world and team, it's just team is meant for when I match make on the Colossus and I have a decent skill cooldown while doing great damage. But I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoy the showcase, man. Remember to stay safe, because the world without you is nothing.
Feel the pain. My shield. Shield is down.